I think people expect you to be
so
like
earnest.
Yeah, earnest and like really just standing there waiting for someone.
Yeah. And people are like, Richard Marx fucking says fuck.
I think anytime you're like subverting what people expect you to be, I'm sure that it's like, you know, it's all about like the reversal of expectation.
Hey gang, it's me coming to you from Sydney, Australia, where I'm here filming the new season of The Voice, Australia. What an episode we have for you today on Stories to Tell. My guest, the incredible Chelsea Peretti. You know, you guys have heard the expression triple threat. She's a quintuple, sex, whatever. She's so threatening, it's crazy. She's a comedian. She's a writer. She's an actress. She's a director. She sings. She does all of these things with such talent, elegance, and a whole lot of snark. I really like Chelsea. I've known her for a while now, and I loved our conversation, and I think you will too. My guest is Chelsea Peretti on this episode of Stories to Tell. Hi, Chelsea.
Hey, Richard.
Look what I made you. I made you mojito because you asked me.
Okay, thank
Cheers.
you. Cheers.
A virgin.
I'll take this one. You take that one.
Really?
Little trick I learned at the club.
But I put sugar
Yours
on.
has alcohol. Never
No,
mind.
mine doesn't actually. But I made this right before you got here.
Yeah.
And I forgot to put sugar on the rim. It's extra.
Sugar on the rim.
Sugar on the rim. Let's write that song right now.
Let's get into it.
By the way, if that's not sweet enough for you,
Do you feel like it's not going to be? Let's see.
I feel like it's going to be, I feel like I nailed it. Be honest. That's not a good face.
Okay, wait a minute. This isn't sugar.
No.
It's stevia or monk fruit.
It's monk fruit.
I hate monk fruit.
Oh, I don't have sugar in the
Okay,
house.
of course you don't.
You spotted the monk fruit. I am
Oh my
so
God, it
proud of
tastes
you.
like diet
That's
soda.
Impressed. I'm really impressed.
Monk fruit tastes like that. Okay, well, I've removed the monk fruit from this area. Let me try it now.
We can also try some simple syrup in there.
I mean, this just, I have to say, should I give you a Hollywood answer about how this tastes?
No, I've
real-
never made one before.
Or a Chelsea answer. It tastes like sparkling water.
How about? You don't taste the mint, the fresh mint from the garden?
No, or the lime, really. Or really any simple syrup. But that's because you don't possess simple syrup.
We're
Like
gonna
probably like when your team of
watch
maids
me doctor this shit up right now.
when your team of maids brings in sugar, you're like, get out! You're all fired!
Get that away from me!
Not in this house.
Actually, what I yell is, get thee away from me.
Yeah, and then they all start running out in flocks. So this is monk fruit also?
Yes, but I want you to just...
Whatever, I can,
You've got a 7-year-old.
I'll take it down.
I'm gonna treat you like you're my 7-year-old.
Yeah.
Just fucking drink it.
Yeah, sure.
Just taste it.
Fun vibe so far. It's my fault.
Aren't you glad you came?
This is incredible, Richard.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I'm used to lying to men about how great they are. I can do that.
Yeah. All right, try that. See if it's any better. Or it's probably not.
So good. Wow. You are, you're like
so.
Tom Cruise.
I thought
And
so.
what was that movie?
Cocktail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your prowess behind the bar, I had no idea that your voice is so buttery and rich, and so is your home, and so are your cocktails. Incredible.
But the cocktail's doesn't
Triple
match.
threat.
Oh, it is a triple threat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Home, voice, and...
So we're going to cut out that whole bit leading up to it where she just goes, holy shit, this is the best mojito I've ever had.
This is incredible. Wow.
I don't think I've ever noticed until I haven't seen you in a while.
How beautiful I am.
Well, you're beautiful. I've always thought you were beautiful, but your teeth are perfection.
Okay. Well,
what is up
it's
with
interesting that you say this because I just did Zoom whitening. Now, They still don't feel white to me as I want them
They're
to be.
super white.
Okay, that's good. I just did Zoom whitening.
Did you wear braces as a kid?
I did.
Yeah. So there was work that went into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are all veneers because I chipped them on microphones.
You're just like,
yeah.
right here. And you're like bleeding down
Every
your
time
chin.
I tell that story, Daisy, my wife, will say, maybe don't do this.
Did you really chip your teeth that much? Yeah. It's like, Richard.
Yeah. I did. I chipped my teeth on multiple microphones over the years when I was young. And they just would file them down. And that's not a good look.
Who's they?
The barbarians.
The men would come in
with
and
the metal
file.
tools. Let's file those teeth down.
They were side stage, and right after you get off, they just start
I
filing.
would race to a
Okay, now
practitioner.
veneers. Sorry, I'm talking over you. That's like a big no in
That's all right.
showbiz.
We can do whatever you want.
But veneers are kind of terrifying.
Why? Because you're afraid you're going to pop one?
For veneers, don't they shave your teeth down to little triangular
nubs,
bat teeth? Have you ever lost a veneer and then you just have a tiny little triangle bat tooth?
So weird you would ask me that. I wasn't expecting you to ask me that. 1992.
A date.
Well, here's why I know. One of the biggest TV shows in the history of the UK was a show called Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
It's massive. It was like American Bandstand here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to get on Top of the Pops was a big deal. And I had this song out called Hazard that was a hit for me. Why are you laughing at me?
I'm laughing because I realize I'm not fake drinking this cocktail.
I know, because you don't want it.
It's just sitting there. Hold on. So good. You guys, you got to try his cocktails.
It's still not any better. It's not sweeter or limier or mintier.
Whatever you did.
Didn't do shit. Yeah?
Magical.
More simple syrup?
Oh, no. No, it's perfect.
I couldn't.
Yeah, no, I don't want you to mess with this. The intensity of flavor of mint and lime. Where do mojitos originate from?
I don't know. I'm going to guess. Spain?
So panicked.
Where is the mojito from?
Probably Mexico.
Mexico?
No,
is it Mexico? Mojito, but if only we had a place we could look things up.
Yeah, I know. I wish. That used to always happen in the writer's room at parks. Like, there would be like a question and no one would, I'd go crazy. I'm like, we can know the answer. And they'd be debating it for like 40 minutes. I'm like, we can look this up and end this right now. But I guess, it's fun to debate.
So you don't want to hear about the veneer anymore?
No, I do. So it was 1998.
Two. I go to do this show where I perform in front of millions of people.
Amazing.
On TV. And Elton John was the other guest. It was me and Elton John. I was so excited to meet Elton John.
Do you ever flirt? I was going to ask you, do you ever flirt with gay guys to kind of just, have your
Put
career?
It out there like
just to have your career
go. To sleep my way more to the top? I have not. I don't think I've ever flirted with a gay man.
I always wonder that, though, with guys in entertainment, because when you're in entertainment, it's like you just want attention. Like, does it really matter what form it comes from?
No. I mean, when I have been flirted with, I'm like, oh, that's flattering.
Yeah, you don't give a little back, though.
I don't think so. Maybe.
Yeah.
I certainly don't discourage it.
Right.
I mean, not that, I've never led somebody on to think, oh, maybe we'll make out later or something.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
But I like,
you go straight
who doesn't
to
like that
blowjob.
kind of attention? Yeah. I mean, that doesn't count. That's not really.
What is this for again? I forget what the tone is. I asked.
Too late.
Actually,
it's for the new LGBTQ. So Elton John and I did not flirt, but we had a really great hang. He was really gracious and cool and funny and he's such a legend that I was kind of freaking out. And I had just had veneer. I'd had a veneer, 2 veneers put on my teeth, my front teeth, like a year before. And we rehearsed all day, and then we were going to film it, like with the audience in the room. Yeah. And I took a bite of a sandwich or something, and I was I did that last mirror check. My hair, by the way, was like down to here and like all fluffy and shit. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, and this veneer I had swallowed.
So you're like, Sir Elton.
So I had to do the whole song like this.
No way.
Mother Kina has a
Where people are like, he's got a funky little attitude
and after the show, Elton was like, hey, it was so great to hang. And I was like, yeah, nice to meet you. And I just ran away.
Oh my God. Why didn't you? I mean, don't you think he would have liked that? He
Yeah,
seems
but
like he has a sense of humor.
Of course I would have now. But when I was
you were
29
young.
and I was
29.
so uptight. I was so uptight and
When did you loosen up? 32?
Like about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Oh God. What's your favorite?
By the way, my mojito is delicious.
Is it really? Seriously? Yeah. Do you drink mojitos ever?
No, I'm not a mixed drink person.
You just like something up.
My favorite is a martini, no vermouth, just a martini with lemon.
No
Straight
vermouth.
vodka.
People hate vermouth. A lot of martini drinkers do.
Vermouth tastes like what I imagine cologne would taste like. It smells like what I imagine
you've tried
cologne would taste like.
Every high-end vermouth.
I have. Just not a vermouth person. Were you?
No, but I have a friend who's similarly into martinis and not into vermouth, and I like researched all these vermouths and gave him vermouth, which in retrospect, it's like, he doesn't like it. What am I doing?
It was kind of what I was trying to do to you. Just please enjoy it.
Please have this monk fruit diet soda flavored monstrosity. Wait, so what is...
There's no chemicals or it's all natural. That's a good thing.
I don't know. I feel like there could easily be some sort of study that comes out about monk fruit, you know? Like, listen, heroin is made out of poppies, right?
Right.
All natural things can still be very corrosive to your soul. And
True. What did you drink when you were drinking?
oh my God, everything.
Everything.
I mean, I loved, I had a phase with Jaeger. Yeah. I had a phase with tequila. I had a phase with Chardonnay. I had a dalliance with Jamieson. I had a dalliance with sake. Loved sake.
You were, wow.
Yeah, any kind
You covered
of
it
thing.
all.
Guinness.
Yeah. Were you at least smart enough that on a given night you didn't go from one to the other? You stuck with one?
Oh God, no.
No, you drank everything.
I'll do anything.
Oh, well, no wonder you were shit-faced all the time.
But now it's kind of cool that there's something that so far surpasses the experience of drinking, which is this goulash.
I'm laughing, but I'm kind of dying inside.
Are you really?
Yeah, because I pride myself on...
Did you look up a recipe?
I started yesterday, Chelsea. I looked up a bunch of YouTube videos, and I was like, no, I got this. I can do this. No problem.
Now, how much lime is in this?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah, more than the recipe called for, actually. And I just squeezed a whole bunch. You want some more lime in there?
No, I give up.
The conversation is going to make up for the lack of
one
cocktail.
time, I made a pasta sauce that was so bad one time and I kept trying to add things to it. It was almost just like a black hole. Everything you added just tasted like less flavorful.
That's kind of where we were going with this.
Yeah,
I
had to give up.
Do you want just a glass of sparkling water?
No, I don't want to ruin the look of the show.
It does look good.
Yeah.
It looks like it would taste amazing. And yet...
That's all that matters in this town.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, wait. I did want to know, what is like an Elton John song? What's your favorite? No, I don't know. I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area listening to MC Hammer.
I get it.
Too Short.
I get it, but
357.
Okay, hold me closer, Tiny Dancer. Or Tony Danza.
Oh, Tony Danza.
Yeah,
I always thought it was Tiny
wrong.
Dancer. That's crazy.
Hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind that I put down in a word.
Don't know that.
She doesn't know your song, ladies and gentlemen. I remember when rock was young. Me and Susie. Crocodile Rock. No. Goodbye, yellow brick road, where the dogs of society howl.
Nope.
Can you feel the love? That's that one she knows.
God, think how many stalkers would love for you to sing like that to them.
Candle in the Wind? And it seems to me that's Elton John.
That's good.
He's really good.
I like slow.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do. I mean, and songs, slow songs. Do you remember when I sang my slow song Right Here Waiting directly to you on stage at
UCB?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was telling, someone was like, how do you know Richard Marx? And I was like, I can't remember what it was, but
I do remember. I figured it out.
I was invited to go see you sing in a studio, and I brought my friend Moshe, and we came, and the whole drive home we were just like, his voice is incredible. It's succulent. It's smooth. It's, we were just like going on and on. We were driving home. It was like we were high, and it was just such a funny thing of like, yeah. Anyway, but so that's...
I remember, I think it was, did you ever work with a guy named Richard Frias? Do you remember him?
Maybe.
He was like back when YouTubers had agents and people getting their YouTube numbers to explode. And he was working with a lot of Chinese, not artists, but YouTubers. Mm-hmm. And he got in touch with me about, I think he kind of set that little performance up.
Oh, I don't know.
And that's when I met you and Moshe.
Yeah, it was a strange way to meet, but it was such a fun little adventure.
And then I think it was not that long after that you called me and said, hey, I'm doing this thing at UCB. Will you just come out and just sit and sing to me?
That is so I wish I had recorded that.
There's a picture of it. I know there's a picture of it.
There's photos, but I wish I had the presence of mind to...
And you know what I remember about that night, other than that, singing to you on stage, was backstage, Adam Scott was there. And he was like...
I love Adam Scott.
I only met him that...
You two are very hair-forward men.
We are.
You know?
We are.
You're in that club.
I was like, oh, wow, hey, man. And he was like, oh, wow, hey.
Yeah.
We just had this sort of like...
Really simple conversation.
That was it. But I felt we bonded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the best. I love him.
You're still pals with him?
Yeah.
Tell him I said hi.
I will.
Tell me about travel, because I didn't know this about you, that you were born and raised in Oakland.
Yes.
But you went to school in New York for a bit, and did you go to school in London, in England?
I did. I went for a semester abroad at the Royal Holloway University. Ooh. Which I was led to believe.
Where they made proper mojitos.
Well, they made proper everything. They had 2 or 3 bars on campus. I mean, let's just say the Brits go in. And, they made it seem like it was a hop, skip, and a jump from London, but it was like,
You were in the country?
Yeah.
Was it near Oxford or?
No, it's in a place called Surrey.
Oh, yeah,
it's
Surrey.
Like a suburb, yeah.
Beautiful. Surrey's beautiful.
Very pretty.
What were you studying?
Media arts. And look at me now, thriving.
So wait, at this point in your life, you're 20, 21?
No idea. Whatever college, I was a junior in college.
Okay, so 21, let's say.
God, see, that blows my mind.
Did I know that?
Yeah, I just don't have
really
any
smart.
sense. Yeah.
Really smart.
Have you ever had your IQ tested?
Sorry, what's that?
Have you had your IQ tested? Because
I never have.
Would you do it? I've
Sure.
been thinking about it. I'm like, I kind of would like to know.
Camera, man, woman.
What's that?
Isn't that what the Trump IQ test was?
Oh,
Person,
I don't know.
camera, woman. You don't know that reference?
No.
Years ago, when he took an IQ test and he says he nailed it.
Oh, really?
And he had to remember 4 words. Person.
That just seems impossible. Camera. How could that be an IQ test?
That was his IQ test.
Right. I'll have to dig that clip up and see what.
And I think as he was telling it, he was like, person, camera, and then a couple other things.
Have you ever met him?
That fast, many, many, many years ago.
Yeah.
You?
I have. I was on Letterman with him.
Oh, wow. That's where I met him, actually, in the hallway at Letterman.
Really?
Yeah.
How weird is that?
Yeah. That's not nearly as weird as something I'm going to get to later with you. We have something in common that is, I think, going to blow your mind.
I try to play to the camera. Do you do that, or you just pretend it's not there?
I do
I'm like,
sometimes. Break the fourth wall like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even believe in a fourth wall.
No.
Yeah.
Why should there be a fourth wall?
That's right.
Just be inclusive.
It's artifice.
Let everybody every time I look up at the camera like this, I feel like the viewer's like, oh, he's looking at me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I am. I'm looking at you, but I'm talking to her. So wait a minute. So in college, you didn't have this idea that you were going to be a comic, or that you were going to be a writer, or?
I did improv in college. Okay. I was in the improv group with, actually, I don't know if you watched The Bear, but Eben Moss Backrack was in my improv group. And beautiful young man.
No relation to Burt Backrack.
I might have said his last name wrong.
Oh.
It's a hyphenated last name. I don't know how you pronounce it. But anyway, that was, my improv group was called Six Milks. And so I did that because I did not love the theater department at my school. And so then I switched over to improv. And But yeah, I kind of always knew that I wanted to perform. Yeah. Like
Were you into acting already, like in high school? And
Yeah.
did you have by the time you got to college, was there one thing that you were like, that's what I really want to do?
Theater and acting. I thought that. But then I sort of veered comedy when I didn't like the theater department. Then I was temping in New York and I met a temp who was also a stand-up. And she was like, you should come do this open mic. So I went to this place called the Parkside Lounge and they had a back room where I did an open mic. And it was like...
Were you terrified?
Yeah, I think I was.
Are you still terrified?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Like right before you go out, you're a neurotic mess?
Yeah, I mean, I just get like nerves around stand-up, yeah.
When's the last time you did stand-up?
Night before last, yeah.
So how often do you do it? Is it like working out for you?
Yes, and that it's sporadic.
Okay.
But yeah, do you get stage fright?
No.
Beta blockers? Ever tried?
I've never had... I've gotten a little nervous for a couple of TV things, but never for a gig. I just sort of can't wait to
That's crazy.
Get out there and play.
See, I think like that's the dream for being a performer.
I also think that a little bit of nerves is good.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of things where I thought, oh, I'm really, really scared.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. That's how I feel all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to work on that.
But you've been doing this so long, I would think that you would have conquered it to a degree.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If it's any consolation, I felt no nerves coming here.
That's good to know. But I'll tell you something else. There's a massive difference between what we do, in many ways, but you just made me think about it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when I perform...
I make a mixed crowd laugh and you make women cry.
I have to do the songs that made me successful.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do them because I wrote them and I still love performing them, right?
Like for me, if I went to your concert, I would want you to sing Right Here. Is it Right Here Waiting?
Yes.
What's the proper title? I would want you to sing that just over and over.
Because you don't like any of my other songs. Could you do it a little faster now?
This is what I do. If I like a song, I just listen to it over and over. And I'm sure a lot of people are like that.
Yeah, I'm like that.
Would you ever do that song 10 times in a concert and then do a medley?
Only if you're in the audience. And I'll tell the rest of the audience, hey, this is the way it's going to be.
Like you make it sort of like Hey Jude, where it just goes on and on.
I'm going to do an uptempo. I'm going to do a speed metal version of Right Here Waiting. I'm going to do a country version.
That'd be cool.
Wherever you go.
Actually, that would be cool. You should do that. Like a comedy-ish
Whatever
night.
Yuns do.
Yuns?
Yuns.
I've never heard Yuns.
Hey, Yuns.
I almost wanted to take a
I know, it's tempting. My point is, I have to do, part of my job description is to do the same songs.
Yeah.
Year after year after year.
Yeah.
If you go out on tour.
Yeah.
And you are crushing it, and that repertoire, that writing for that tour is killing people. You can't come back a year later and do those same jokes.
Right.
You have to keep reinventing yourself every time. It's
kind of stupid, yeah. It's very internet, actually, stand-up.
Yeah.
The speed of it all and But weirdly, you are repeating yourself on and on and on as you're working on the material to a degree that sometimes is exhausting.
What do you mean?
Just like saying the same jokes over and over. It's like sometimes I just want to
Just in different versions, you mean?
No, just when you're working on material, you're
I see what you're saying.
for that year that you're working on it or whatever. Some cases
and trying to keep
longer.
it fresh.
Yeah, you're having, because the jokes that you're working on, you've said 1,000,000 times, but you're maybe adding a tag or changing it a little bit or changing the order of your set and blah, blah, blah. But the artifice of repeating yourself over and over and over, sometimes it's annoying. Yeah.
I don't only relate in that there are funny things that have happened in between songs.
Yeah.
Where I keep it in the show.
Of course, yeah.
And then it becomes a bit and it becomes a thing. And also I guess my ego and my insecurity is such that when people say, I came for the music, but like I can't believe how funny. I can't believe how much I laughed. Then I'm like, that to me is the level of, that's how I gauge the success of a show now, is not the music, but how much they laughed.
Wait till our song comes out.
Yeah, it's true. You mean from 3 years ago?
No, but it is a funny thing that there is with comedians and musicians, which is most comedians want to be a musician and most musicians kind of want to be funny. And it's like this weird thing where I'm like, it is sort of a capitalism thing, right? Hate to bring up capitalism.
Yeah, but it is.
But it's like dividing your creativity and it's like, you know, most creative people are creative in a lot of different areas. I used to be a real purist about it and like hate anyone who was trying to be funny if they weren't, you know, whatever. Now I'm kind of just like, whatever.
You mean territorial, sort of?
Yeah, a lot of stand-ups are like that. Just like, if you're in this for the right reasons, if you're doing it for your life, you know, like, whatever. Like I think there's a lot of actors that think they're funny that aren't. And there's a lot of people that like, you know, hang on around comedians that aren't comedians. There's a weird, I don't know, that must happen with musicians too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's these peripheral people who are just always around because they like the energy of it, but they themselves are not musicians or comedians. And it's like, I don't know, sometimes you just want to be amongst your peers. And
yeah, that's interesting because I've been friendly with a couple of comedians in my life. Richard Lewis and I were pals, actually. And
I'm sorry for your loss.
I mean, he had a good run.
Yeah.
And he was in a lot of pain the last few years, and it was pretty rough. But I knew him since the 80s, and we were friends. And and Bob Saget was a friend of mine. And I notice, I'm not generalizing, but I notice a personality or characteristic thread amongst people who, especially who are so devoted to the writing of comedy, and they're always, you know, Richard Lewis had a thing where if you talk to him on the phone and you're wrapping it up, he would have to say something to make you laugh.
Leave on a laugh,
but then he would hang up on you.
Yeah.
And he was obsessed with it. Yeah. And sometimes you realize you were just courtesy laughing because you wanted to get off the phone. You know what I mean?
Nightmare.
And sometimes he would say something that was genuinely like really funny. Yeah. But he would wait and he would hit you with a line.
Did you say this at his memorial that you were courtesy laughing?
Here's a funny story about Richard. But the other thing I noticed is
you're like, I miss courtesy laughing at his jokes. He was a good dude.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be really full of shit on this.
Okay.
Not just me, but most musicians I know consistently praise other musicians. We go to each other's shows. I don't find that with comedians. Yeah,
but I think music is like more of a way to unwind. And I mean, I can't speak for if you are a musician. Like maybe you're like, that was pitchy.
No, I actually am a musician.
Right. I know. I'm not saying if conditionally, but you know, it's like maybe you're sitting there going, okay, that was pitchy. Okay, why'd they do this song? Da, da, da. Like, but for me, I was just thinking about this because I had to drive. I am obsessed with Chinese food, and I had to go to San Gabriel, and it's like 40 minutes drive. And I'm like so tired, and I'm driving, and I'm like,
because there's no Chinese food around you. That's
no, but it's just another level. San Gabriel.
Gotcha.
So I'm driving. I'm like so tired, and then I put on music, and suddenly I'm like, I can now tolerate my drive. I feel energized, and I was like, it's an obvious revelation, but like music is so important. It really can affect your mood and change how you feel about everything. Like if you have, you know, or you can feel understood if you're feeling sad or, you know, all these things. I don't think comedy has like that, like a vibe that you're enveloped in that way that is not purely verbal. Well, it isn't unless you're doing music, I guess. But it's like you're really listening to a person talk for an hour, and that can be exhausting. So to go see all your friends talk for an hour, it's like, oh my God, fucking kill me.
But is there also you've seen the man behind the curtain thing and you're always analyzing what they're doing? Is there that too?
I just honestly think that, I mean, this is my opinion, and this is why I have ambivalence around stand-up. I just don't want to hear anyone talk for an hour. There's very few people.
Including yourself?
Yeah. I mean, there's very few people where I want to hear them talk. I actually wonder if stand-up will evolve away from that as things have become so short form with the internet and stuff. Although I guess not, because podcasters are doing like 5-hour episodes. Jesus. So yeah, it's like release me.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. I do feel like music is a bit more poetic. But
what about the camaraderie part of it?
We do hang out. Like I think when you're working on material, like I love Largo. I go there a lot. You ever do there?
I've never
Shows
played
that-
there, but I've gone there. I haven't. I went to the old one. I haven't been to the since they moved from Fairfax, or is it still at Fairfax?
Well, if you want to do my podcast there, you're welcome to. I'm going to do one on the 21st. So I love Largo, and I was there. I can't remember if it was the night before last, and I got to hang out with like Sarah Silverman was there, and my friend Roisin came, who's like she wasn't on the show. She just came to hang out. My friend Michelle Collins was there, so it was like all these people from all these different walks of life. And Io was there also from the Bear. I'm just like promoting the Bear right now. But, and we all got to hang out and talk, and it was Joe Mandy's show, and it was just like a big old hang. And I love that about Largo. And so when you're working on material and you're going around to clubs or to theaters or whatever in town, you can hang out, and that's when the camaraderie is. When someone's headlining, you're really just going to watch them, and it's not really about necessarily hanging out.
Do you have any people you would consider close friends who are other comedians?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I
So
mean,
without naming names, think of somebody you think is like one of your closest friends who happens to be a comedian.
yeah.
Do you respect / admire their talent?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think I could be friends with someone if I think their comedy sucks.
Right.
I do think although there is a weird phenomenon with some comedians where I could think their stand-up is really funny, and offstage they are not funny.
Right.
Like they're not
Oh, I've
fun
known
to
several
talk to.
people. Yeah,
it's
I've known
weird.
several people like that.
I wonder who you're thinking about.
Yeah. But I asked because
You.
so one of my best friends is a guy named Matt Scannell from the band Vertical Horizon.
Okay.
And he's like my brother that I never had. He's like my little brother.
From
But
another mother.
From another mother. But I'm such a fan of his music. I
Yeah.
love his music so much, and I really respect his musicianship and his songwriting. So he's a sounding board for me. If I'm working on something that I'm
Yeah.
not sure about, or even something that I think is badass, he will be usually one of the people I'll go to and go, hey, check this out. What do you think? And sometimes he'll go, man, I just feel like the end of the chorus doesn't quite, and then I'll go, oh, well, maybe we should work on it together or whatever. Does that kind of thing exist with comedians?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think in general, like sometimes comedians always are like, you should put this tag. Like I've had comedians be like, oh, you should tag your joke this way. And usually, I mean, I think a lot of times it's not in your voice or, I don't know. But there's times where people tell you something like, oh yeah, let me try that. But I don't feel like I've, excuse me. I don't feel like I've ever had
Maybe you should have a sip of the mojito.
God, it's like, it's a devil's dilemma.
Because I'm just trying to get the volume of it down a little bit.
It is good when you're like about to choke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I don't feel like anyone's ever pitched me a tag that's worked really well is the problem. But yes, there's.
But what about just for a validation's sake? Like the friend that you were thinking of, have you ever gone to that person and said, hey, I think I got something really cool, and you do it for them?
Yeah, well, when I was making my music album that you don't want to talk about for some reason, me and Richard made a song together, and
we did.
I did a whole album about coffee, and I was sending it to like John Early, and I sent it to Moshe and Natasha and like Bo Burnham. I was sending it to friends being like, what do you think of it? And that was fun. Was
our song on there?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely sent our song, and I played it for Matt earlier, and he was like laughing a lot.
Why has it been in the vault so long?
But the pandemic came, and we were working
4 years ago.
I know, but I'm telling you, I just literally was so knocked on my ass by that. I had a very small child, and some, whatever. It's like not a fun thing to talk about. No one wants to hear about this, but the point being, it just never got finished. And so now I'm like, I want to finish it. I'm listening to these songs. I'm like, this is funny. And it's not like I'm going to send someone a recording of my jokes and be like, what do you think of this? But I think more so I have friends that I always think of jokes when I hang out with them. Like there's people who are just sort of muses comedically, like not even in comedy, like a couple friends over the years that every time I'm with them, we're cracking up and it's so creative and I'm thinking of lots of jokes.
Oh, that's great.
And then I have comedy friends where they're like...
And are you constantly going, sorry, I got to write this down. I got to put this in my phone.
Well, yeah, I'll just covertly kind of be like, but I don't write everything down, but it feels like something feels like, okay, that could be something.
Yeah.
Then I'll put it in a little notes folder in my phone.
How often when you think of something that you think is really, really great, do you laugh when you think of it versus intellectually go, that's really fucking funny?
I have one joke right now that I love, and it's like the only reason I feel like I'm doing stand-up again.
Really?
It's because I love this joke. But yeah, like when I think about it, I don't know if I'm cracking up, but I'm feeling light and happy when
when you came up with it,
yeah.
did you laugh out loud to yourself, or do you look at it from a analytical writer?
Can't even remember how I came up with it exactly.
Because we have to talk about, I needed to hear about your writing process, but
I do laugh on stage sometimes with like if a joke, I don't know, like like this one just really hits the spot. It kind of touches on something I've been wanting to touch on for a while. And so that gives me, but then sometimes something I think is funny and the audience doesn't. And it's like, sometimes that makes me laugh because it's just a stupid thing. Like I love watching David Spade. He goes up at Largo a fair amount, and like, you know, or Zach Galifianakis, like they both are people who like, sometimes you can tell something is just their little humor, and it might be kind of thrown away or an aside. And like, you know, that's the thing I love. Probably, I'm guessing if you're watching a musician, it's like some little improv-y thing they might do at a particular show on a song. You're like, oh, like maybe that excites you. I don't know. I can't put myself in the headspace.
I totally get it. There's a thing I say almost every show. One of the things that I put in every show, and I didn't come up with it. In fact, it's a really old, like vaudeville quip.
Yeah.
And I heard another singer do it 30 years ago, and it cracked me up. I was friendly with this guy in Australia. And so I was like, I'm going to steal that from, because I even said to him, I'm going to steal that. He said, I stole it from vaudeville. It's like as old as time. Yeah. So when I set up a song, it's usually like Right Here Waiting or Hold On to the Night's one of my big hits. And I'll say to the audience, you know, I think you guys will know this song. It was a big, huge blah, blah, blah. Thanks to you guys, it was a #1 song. And all I ask is if any of you guys know this song, please, 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 whatever you do, don't join in because you're going to ruin it. And it never doesn't crush. And then I find myself laughing every night at them laughing at it. You know what I mean?
Also, it's just like, it's a funny attitude for someone like you to have, because I think like that's what's funny when your online stuff about Trump and stuff. I think people expect you to be
so
like
earnest.
Earnest and like really just standing there waiting for someone.
And people are like, fuck, Richard Marx fucking says fuck.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I think anytime you're like subverting what people expect you to be, I'm sure that it's like, you know, it's all about like the reversal of expectation.
Tell me about how often do you have a set thing that you're like, I need to write from this time to this time?
I don't like writing like that. And in fact, I need to be writing and I'm not writing. So maybe you shouldn't listen to me. My friend Roisin was like, you've got to do this. She set this, like, I don't know what the app was, but it's like tick, 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 tick. She's like, set a timer for 25 minutes with this loud ticking. It's like almost like a metronome. Right. And I'm trying to make it like pander to you and say metronome. Maybe that's something you're familiar with.
I felt like we got a little closer just
like,
then.
Yeah. I'm like, she writes in 25-minute chunks with that loud sound going. I was like, this is...
But that's just some kind of like little hack that she came up with?
to stay focused, I guess. I'm like, maybe I don't have ADHD.
That would drive me fucking crazy.
Yeah, same. So I don't know, but I tend to be more loosey-goosey about it. But that said, I am not writing currently, and I should be. But
what does that mean? What is writing? So for me, writing sometimes means I need to write songs for myself to record and release.
And do you do that by yourself, or do you like to be with a producer?
I've produced almost everything I have.
Should have known that. Should have known that.
All the hits in the heyday I produced myself.
Is there like an IMDb for musicians? Is that a dumb question?
No, there is. It's called Wikipedia.
Oh, but can't anyone change that to say like Richard Marx?
They can, and yet they don't.
Oh,
yeah. Well, you know, all the credits, all the liner notes, all the stuff is out there. And there's also, I think it's called allmusic.com or something, isn't there? It's all music. Yeah,
it seems like there should be a synthesized place.
IMDb for music is called All Music.
So you don't use a producer?
Well, I dabble in it now because like the son that you just met is an incredible producer. Yeah. And so I've done some stuff with him that he's produced with me. Sometimes he's produced it by himself, actually. He's the only person I think who's ever produced me.
Really? That's cute.
But really respect his ideas, and I think that he helps keep me
You
fresh.
got to. You were touring throughout his childhood, am I right?
Exactly. I've got a lot to make up for. And the stuff that we've done, the best compliment, other than, wow, I really love this song, is, wow, this sounds like it's like brand new. You sound like you're 25. But my point is that I sometimes...
You write in solitude.
Well, sometimes, and I co-write. But my intention for writing varies from songs for me to record to I've written a bunch of songs for other people. Dance with My Father for Luther.
Dance
and all
with
these.
My Father. I mean, what a legend you are.
Oh, bless you. Well, he was a legend. But there are different intentions, right?
Yeah.
When you are in writing mode, are you always... Sometimes are you thinking, do you write for other comedians ever?
No, but I mean, I've written for TV.
and-
Yeah, so that's like a very group. So that's, until you're off on script, it's like that's a group dynamic. Although now I'm hearing that people just write in Zoom rooms, which sounds like hell to me. But in my day, we all sat together in a circle and we're riffing and getting on tangents. And so I loved that. But like for my movie that I did, I was writing and, I like to just write when I don't like saying, okay, I'm going to write from 9 to 6. Like, I don't like it to feel like a day job or something. Like, I want to get up and have coffee, walk my dog, whatever. Maybe I work out. And then when I feel like I'm ready, then I could write. And then, historically.
Do you know who does write that way? That regimented?
What?
And has for 40 years?
Elton John.
Diane Warren.
I knew it.
Probably one of the most successful pop songwriters in history.
Yeah, I mean, it works for people. I remember when I was starting out, everyone's like, Mike Birbiglia rented an office and he writes in his office. I'm like, cool, like a business person.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not how I like to work, but everyone has their own kind of.
But that to me is the difference between perspiration and inspiration.
Yeah. What way do you do it? Perspiring?
If I'm writing with someone, that's perspiration, usually.
Really?
I mean, there's some element of inspiration that might show up, but that means at 2:00, whoever it is, I've written with Keith Urban, I've written some songs with him.
Did you guys flat iron your hair together?
We did. I think he learned it from me, actually. You're such an asshole. It means at 2:00 on Thursday, we have to be creative, as opposed to I can be walking through this hallway and go, and I'll run to that piano because it came through me.
I do genuinely feel the shower is very inspiring.
And being outside, when I hike, because there's all these hills in this neighborhood, and if I need to write, music is easy for me to write, but lyrics are harder, good lyrics. I have to go. It's like I heard Sting say, I find lyrics behind that tree or under that rock, and I really get it. Like if I'm stuck, I just walk and take my phone.
Pick up rocks and stuff.
And I'm like Sting said there was some shit here.
You climb trees.
Yeah. And by the time I'm back, I have most of the lyrics done.
That's cool.
Whatever works, right?
Yeah. I mean, I like writing collaboratively, but I get what you're saying about being on a schedule, but I guess it helps motivate me sometimes. Like, I really enjoyed writing music. I mean, it's so weird because that's what I was doing before the pandemic. And it's like when the pandemic hit, I was like, why was I doing that with my time? But It was just so fun because Kojak, who was producing it, was kind of fatigued of the music industry. And I was fatigued of Hollywood. And so we just kind of came together and made this weird experience together. But it was so fun to kind of use a different part of my brain.
Did you just sing melodies? Do you play an instrument?
I do not play any instrument. I don't know anything except...
You just sing stuff?
Yeah, I just would make up. But I do feel like I'm good at making up hooks.
Look at our song. Our song is amazing.
You don't like it, I feel like.
No, I totally do.
I think it's pretty funny.
It's very funny.
I really like it. Anyway, I don't know, man. But I do think sometimes creatively, going on weird detours is just what you need to do. And I just don't like barreling through if I'm feeling kind of uninspired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and Jordan both being writers.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a lot of...
My husband, Jordan Peele.
Yes, her husband, Jordan Peele. I said it like what they would know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys bounce stuff off each other?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Does he ever show you something you go, this is awful? Because he's just so good. You probably know, right?
But I feel like we're both very self-critical. So it's not like if we were like, it would be more like, if anything, like, what should I do? Or what do you think would help this or something? Like,
or help me out at the end of this. Yeah.
But I mean, we also do our own thing. But yeah, we share, whatever. We share stuff with each other sometimes. Yeah.
Have you properly collaborated?
I mean, I was in a sketch called Dick Nanigans on Peele. Does that count?
Did you write it together?
I think this was before. Were we dating? I don't think yet. I think that was like a preamble, maybe. Can't remember. Maybe we were.
Well, you know what? I alluded to this in the beginning of our chat. Do you know what we have in common? We both met our significant others on Twitter.
DMs. Gotta hit those DMs.
Slide into those DMs.
Although, are you active on X?
No.
Yeah, I just stopped.
Ever since Elon showed up, I'm out.
Yeah, but I guess I might start re-engaging a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, as long as he can benefit from it, I'm out. I'm off.
Yeah. It used to be so fun.
It used to be so fun.
God, I think about it all the time because I feel like we hit this major cultural shift where there was a time where Twitter was just the funniest people in the world, all just making jokes together all day long. It was like a utopia.
Yeah.
And then it just became this, like, for me, the canary in the coal mine, I started making fun of people who do selfies all the time and saying how it's vain. And someone's like, it's not vain. This is how I control the male gaze. This is how I, like, express myself. And I was just like, oh, things are a-changing. All of a sudden, like, you can't make a fucking joke about someone definitely being vain.
Right.
Even if they are controlling their, know, they're still being vain and they have no humor about it.
Right.
And it just was like...
You're still vain, but you're also humorless.
Maybe, exactly. So it's like, I don't know. I think, like, it just was like this shift where suddenly it went from the funnest place ever to just everyone trying to control each other all day long. And it's exhausting.
Yeah. Well, it gets into some other thing, but
some dicey territory.
But I don't want to leave this Twitter thing for a second. But
okay.
No. But how was your introduction to Jordan through Twitter?
He DM'd me.
Oh,
yeah.
So did you follow each other? Were you aware that he was following you? Or was he even following you? He just DM'd you?
I think so. I can't remember.
Did he just DM you to hit you up? Like, hey, you want to go out?
He did, yeah. He, like, heard me on a podcast on Comedy Bang Bang, actually. And his assistant was playing it in the car. And then he was like, who is this woman? I think I'm going to marry her. And then, in fact, he did. So that worked out.
How long between his DM and you guys getting married?
It's a good question. If I had any sense of time, it would be...
Clearly you don't.
It would be so perfectly answered.
I referenced 1992 and you were like...
Yeah.
I can't even comprehend.
No, if people go like, was this a year ago or 3 years ago? I wouldn't... half the time I wouldn't know. I have no sense.
There's an old Stephen Wright line. Stephen Wright went, about 4 years ago. Oh, no, it was yesterday.
Yeah, that's me. Like, I don't know. But I guess probably rather rapidly. I mean, I remember asking Nick Kroll, I'm like, is this guy cool? We had never met, which was weird. I knew everyone in comedy and we had never met. And then he DM'd me and then we went to... we tried to go to Sizzler for our first date, but they waved us away because they were closing.
So where'd you end up?
Tam O'Shanter.
Your
Ever
first
been?
Date? Yeah, a long time ago. I've been vegetarian for a long time.
Well, you could have a Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah, I don't know anybody else who met successfully, romantically on Twitter other than now you and Jordan.
Yeah.
Daisy
who DM'd who?
I was following Martha Quinn, who was one of the original MTV VJs, who Daisy followed because Daisy used to be on MTV. And I'd been on Twitter for years. And I was having some funny banter with Martha. Because that's what I miss about Twitter, too. It's just I realized that was another creative outlet for me.
Totally. It was amazing.
But Martha and I were going back and forth in a funny way. And Daisy saw it in her feed. And she commented, she weighed in on it. And she said something like, oh my God, you guys are giving me the sweetest 90s flashback right now or something. And I was like, Daisy Fuentes, I had the biggest crush on Daisy back in the day.
She was so hot.
And
still is to this very day, judging by the pics in the bathroom.
Yes. And by the way, that's the least impressive thing about her is all that.
Right. Sure. You have to say that. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm sure.
It's really true. Anyway, I just noticed her and I started following her and she started following me. And I saw she retweeted me here and there. And about a year and a half, 2 years later, I was getting divorced.
Yeah.
And I was kind of coming back to LA off and on. And so I DM'd her, not really in a flirty, it wasn't like, oh, I'm single now. So it was sort of like, I'm going to play the show at the Grammy Museum in LA.
Yeah.
And I think I'd...
Whatever this is, I'm single now. You're like, no, I just so happened to be doing a show. And
Daisy goes, it was like such a flex. It was like...
Where was the show?
At the Grammy Museum in downtown LA.
I performed there a lot.
Yeah, and they filmed it for PBS.
Yeah.
So I was going to do the show like in a few weeks. So I DM'd her and I said, hey, I don't know if you're going to be in LA in a few weeks, but I'm playing a show at the Grammy Museum. I'd love you to be my guest. And she didn't answer me for a couple of days. Unbeknownst to me, she called her publicist and said, hey, Richard Marx invited me to the show he's doing at the Grammy Museum, and I want to go.
She's like, have your lawyers vet him.
But she said, I'd like to get tickets and tell him I already have tickets. Can you hook me up? Can you help me get tickets? And her publicist said, he's my client. We had the same publicist, we just didn't know it.
Yeah.
So
that's so romantic.
She brought, yeah. Isn't it? So our publicist brought her to the show, and there's a picture of us meeting because there was a Getty photographer there. There's actually a picture of the moment we met. And I was, I'd been single not that long.
Yeah.
But the last fucking thing I was thinking about was a relationship because I was married for 25 years.
Yeah.
And I was also still kind of reeling from getting divorced, and I wasn't divorced yet, but I was, on the way. And all I remember is when she walked into the green room, that's something, and I've written songs about this shit, but I've never experienced it. That thing, that lightning bolt, and it wasn't like, oh my God, the love of my life. It wasn't that. It was just this recognition that everything was different. Like seeing her the first time in person, as many times as I'd seen her on television.
Yeah.
And in magazines and calendars. When she was walking towards me, I felt like everything's different in my life now. I didn't know what that meant. And then I pursued her hard. And it took a while.
So what does it look like when you're pursuing someone hard? Are you like, what's your moves?
It's kind of stalkerish. No, I was just charming as fuck. I was trying to make her laugh. I was trying to be cute and...
You're like...
And I was turning 50. So, yeah. I mean, it was, it's a different kind of game to have at 49 than 29. I had also really never been single in my adult life.
Right.
So I was...
You were like, let me fix that right quick.
She was like, okay, you need to date. Her quote actually to me, you need to spend time like having sex with other girls.
So did you?
I did. Only because she made me.
How was it?
But I was kind of obsessed with her.
Yeah.
And I would not, she broke up with me a couple times. Was like, I can't trust in this. You don't have this out of your system.
Really?
And it took about 2 years of off and on before she believed in me. And now we'll be married 9 years.
Wow.
In December.
Time flies.
Yeah. How many years you been married? 9, right?
I don't know.
Look who I'm asking about time. How old's your kid? I don't know.
He's 7. I do know that. He's a good marker of time. Like that's the one marker of time that I can like actually follow.
You're going to have just the one, you think?
Yeah. I'm 85.
I'm an only child. Look at me.
Yeah.
He'll make you mojitos.
Yeah.
With stevia.
So good, by the way.
Isn't it? Thanks for mentioning that again.
Delish.
What was your courtship like after the Sizzler turn away?
Well, Jordan's DM was funny, comedic. I can't really remember. I mean, I think we were really into Jodi Arias. And so there was lots of jokes about that. Our first date, like an entire improv troupe was there and we knew all of them. And so it was just like, of course, we go to have our first date and then there's a whole improv table of
the
people.
Two of you are like two Kevin Bacons.
Yeah.
Right.
So we just like we had to just kind of roll with that. So we had a lot of jokes about that early on, just like some of those people being there and stuff.
I would think that would be intimidating, trying to court you with comedy.
With anything, really.
Yeah.
Well, comedy, I think I've only... I'm trying to think, have I
Then again, if you're going to do it, you should be Jordan Peele.
I'm like, have I ever dated anyone not funny? And the truth is, yeah, there was a time I lived in Philly and I was like doing ecstasy. And at that time I was like dating like break dancers. They weren't particularly funny, but guess what? It didn't matter. But most of the time I've only dated funny people. I don't think, that's it.
Is Jordan funny all the time?
No. I mean, we both can be very like, it's funny. I've been seeing this on Instagram, like rumination is really bad for your, I don't know, it's something. Anyway.
Bad for your what?
Like it's like an indicator of something. If you ruminate, like either you're going to die younger or you're depressed. I don't know. But I'm like, how do you not ruminate?
Right.
But anyway, I think we're both deep thinking, heady people who can be very serious, but we definitely joke a lot. And our kid is really funny. So like our household is definitely a lot of laughs, you know? I don't think it's like, I think if you are funny, you're not like trying to be funny.
Right.
But
although
dating in general is intimidating for everyone.
But in a DM situation,
yeah,
he's naturally funny. Mm-hmm. But there is thought that goes into all that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I know. I did the same thing. So I would think of something and I go, oh my God, that's really, that's good. That's going to be good. She's going to really think that's funny. And
I mean, texting, flirting, you know, is a fun thing.
It's fun because the construction of it is.
It's Victorian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's it's downright Victorian.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun and it was a lot of.
It's right. It's the 2000 version of Milady.
Yeah, exactly. And
like thou if like
and the emojis are like those flowers, you know, the pressed flowers that have different significances.
Huh? Yeah. That is the plural of significance.
Yeah.
Huh.
Got to get that IQ tested and see.
What's going on with you in the coming months?
Well, I have a podcast that's a call-in podcast. The aforementioned podcast that I'm doing at Largo.
I did a podcast with you ages ago.
Yeah, probably.
Is it an offshoot of that or it's totally different?
It is that. I brought it back and I did it with a corporation and now I'm going back to being independent. Though I love corporations.
But you have a huge following, so it makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm going to do that.
Is it harder to get sponsorship and advertisers when you're on your own?
I mean, I wouldn't know because
I'm about to find out.
Yeah, exactly. My first run, I had no ads at all. I was like on Brooklyn Nine-Nine and I was like, I don't need the money. And I wanted it to just be like a fun place to hang out. I guess I don't technically need the money now, but I'm less into unpaid work, I guess. So,
of course.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But
and sadly, that's still how we gauge success to a degree.
Yeah,
right? Capitalism.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of concerning, honestly. Like I was just thinking about just the degree to which numbers are beside everything you do now. It's just like it's not good for artists and art.
Also, especially these days, I'm feeling the same thing as we film these episodes and as we get into the business part of it, of setting it up and marketing it and all that stuff, the whole concept of there's so much noise. Like how do you know what I mean?
And guess what? Guess what's marching toward us over the mountain? Climate change and AI.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think it's a time in which a lot of people are sort of feeling a little defeated.
Yeah.
But whatever. What do you do? You're an artist. You just got to keep making shit.
Right. Exactly.
And see if the robots like it.
So between the podcast and you doing what you do, how many appearances a month?
Like, I don't know. It's all.
So it's when you feel like it, or when you're asked to do it, or how does it work?
I don't know. I try to just do things with people that I know I kind of like. I don't really see an upside to like going on a podcast with someone I don't know.
Yeah.
And this is our first time meeting and it's being recorded. I don't really always gravitate to that. I directed a film also that's on Roku. that is called First Time Female Director, and it's got a really funny cast. I did that.
You wrote it too?
Yeah. And
wrote and directed it yourself?
Yeah. And yeah.
Nicely done, Chelsea.
Thanks. And then now I'm working on developing a couple things with some genius.
And juggling being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
I mean, it's so sweet, and it's going so fast. And yeah, it is like, I remember I had a therapist who was like, you can do it all. You can be a mom. You can have a career. I'm like, kind of can't. You kind of can't.
Well, you can, but one's going to suffer.
Yeah.
Or all will suffer.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess like on the other hand, I'm like, it's not good for a kid where your whole life revolves around them. I think it's good for them to see that you have other passions and interests. And
100%.
So I don't know. It's a daily kind of journey where you figure out what's the right way to balance everything. And luckily, I grew up in divorced parents. So at least like we have each other to, be each other's support system. And we have people who help us raise our children and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it works out. But
do you want to do more acting?
Yeah. Do you?
I really haven't.
Oh.
I've done very, very little.
I consider this acting.
There's a little bit of acting. Yeah. I've only really done, I did an episode of The Goldbergs as myself in the 80s.
How was that?
It was fun. It was okay.
Did you get any good jokes?
Yeah, I got a couple of good jokes. I actually had a better time. I did a few years ago. I did an episode of the show called Life in Pieces on CBS.
Oh yeah, who was on that? I knew people on that.
Colin Hanks.
Oh yeah.
Jim Brolin. Anyway, it was actually really funny because all they wanted to do initially was license a bunch of my songs, because they had written an episode where Tommy Sadowski's character, he was in it, and his girlfriend gets stranded at an airport, and they're in the airport restaurant cocktail lounge, and the piano player there only knows Richard Marx songs. He only plays Richard Marx songs.
That's funny.
Which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
So I licensed them like 5 songs. And then the producer of the show came back and said, look, is there any world in which you would actually play I went, oh my God, that's hilarious. So they created this character.
You're the piano player.
I'm the piano player named Joey Midnight or something. They came up with this really funny name for me.
That's funny.
And I had scenes with Tommy Sadowski. And then the director, or no, the writer of the show, creator, he was on set. And he would come over to me, he'd go, that was really great. Could you just say this instead? Like he was just feeding me like ad-lib.
They love doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd never done anything like that before.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
That's cool. I want to see that.
I don't like the sitting around part of it.
I know. It's
really hard.
Really hard. Really hard.
How was Brooklyn Nine-Nine though? What would you say that was an overall, on a 1 to 10, what was it on a positive experience?
Oh, I mean, it's like an 8 or a 9, I would say. It's a pretty charmed thing. Great writers.
And you and Andy Samberg go back a long way, right?
We went to elementary school together.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was like...
I had a huge crush on him, yeah. I used to because back when we just had phones with rotary phones, and I would call his house and hang up and stuff like that.
And there wasn't caller ID back then.
Right.
Or
they kind of knew.
What was the first version?
You could kind of hone in on who it probably was.
There was a Star 69. That's what it was.
Star 69. Gosh. Yeah. So, yeah, we went to elementary school together, and then he was in New York, but he went to NYU and I went to Barnard, but we would kind of see each other at UCB or other places and stuff. And then, yeah, when this show was being put together, I was a writer at Parks and Rec, and I was going to leave because I wanted to pursue stand-up and acting and stuff. And they were like, well, there's this show coming together. And so I auditioned to play a cop. And I'm pretty sure I tested with Andy, and they were like, you don't seem like a cop, but we're going to make you a secretary. They added a secretary role.
I saw you and I thought you were great.
Thank you.
Really great.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it came together.
You got to work with Andre Braugher. I mean, geez.
I know. I love Andre.
But so you would love to do more of that?
I don't know if I would love to do a sitcom. I think it would have to be super, super right. for me to want it because it's just such a commitment if it goes, Most of them don't, which is what...
You give up a life of your own at that point, right?
Yeah, it's like
Was
literally...
it like that when you were doing that show?
Well, yeah, like things like doctor's appointments and stuff. Like it's like you have to clear everything and your schedule is not... You don't know your schedule because production is scrambling to figure out how to piece this whole puzzle together.
Right.
So you don't know your schedule until last minute, like I forget when we would get it. I think Sundays. So you can't make a doctor's appointment for that week last minute usually.
Right.
And so, it became where you're kind of like, and I had gone from stand up where I was just almost free all day. I would do random stuff to make money and I would do stand up and I kind of controlled my entire schedule and was kind of a lone wolf to like this thing where I'm with hundreds of people and you can't control the food you're eating and what time you're waking up and what time, you're getting home. And so it was a big adjustment, but, it couldn't have been a more nice group of people. And,
that's great.
We all still have a lot of love for each other and all that.
That's great.
Yeah.
It just, after all these decades, it just now occurred to me why they called it Star 69.
Why?
Think about it. Think about what the reference of 69 is.
Because it's like reciprocal.
Yes. That was the word. That was the word in my brain.
You think the phone company is like, 69 is about giving back, so let's make a feature.
It's returning the favor. That's exactly why they called it Star 69.
I'm going to Google that later.
Okay.
I don't want to do that to your show.
Thank you for being here. I really enjoyed catching up with you, and you finally took a big old.
It's
gulp
actually
of that.
getting better with time.
Was it? Yeah, because it's all the flavors are really
coming together and gelling in this hot room. Thank you for having me. Can't wait to see how this all comes together. How much time do you take out?
Not much.
Really?
Oh, great.
Yes.
I always give a gift to my guests.
I love
a
gifts.
piece of vinyl.
Oh, wow.
And I went through my vinyl collection. Mm-hmm. And I know how passionate you are about music.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, maybe that. Oh, that she probably. And there were a couple of choices. But then I stumbled upon this that I have had since high school.
Okay.
And I took a wild guess that this person influenced you or you were a fan. Maybe not.
This will be interesting. Oh, yeah, sure. Come on.
Do you have this on vinyl?
I don't. I don't even have.
This is my copy from high school.
Wow.
Look. Steve Martin.
That's cool.
Wild and Crazy Guy. What's the last song?
I don't know. I'm not
King
that kind
Tut.
of a comedy fan.
Do you know the song King Tut?
I love Steve Martin, but honestly, like, I read his book, which I love.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it was actually like, oh shit, I'll never be happy. Because, he's like talking about becoming huge and then yearning for the time where he was experimenting and trying things and young and in small venues and intimate,
That was his happiest time.
Yeah. But then you go, oh, great. So there's no way to win, I mean, anyway, whatever. But I loved his book and I love so many of his movies.
What's your favorite movie of his?
Well, I had never seen Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Oh, God.
And I saw it. Jordan was like, you haven't seen it? And I was like, I wish there was 100 more movies like this where I'm like, I haven't seen it because we're always looking for something to watch.
Do you ever see The Man with Two Brains?
I can't remember.
Most people haven't seen it. Will you promise me? I'll text it to you.
Okay.
Will you guys? I need you both to sit down and watch The Man with Two Brains.
I'll watch it.
Just to tell me if I'm right or not.
I remember the cover of it, but I can't remember if I saw it.
Kathleen Turner's in it.
Okay.
And Carl Reiner wrote it with him.
I don't know.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but there were at least 10 moments that were like, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, I'll definitely watch it. I loved The Jerk, which my whole family, we hated it. And then we kept talking about it and joking about it. And then we were like, wait, I think we loved it.
Yeah.
And then Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
Great.
Yeah.
This was in that era. So it was the Carl Reiner era, where it was The Jerk, Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. But then the movie that slipped through the cracks was
The Man with Two Brains.
The Man with Two Brains, where he plays a brain surgeon named Dr. Farrar.
Okay.
That's really his name in the movie.
Yeah,
Dr.
I believe you. Sounds like a good bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will definitely watch that. Gonna go buy a record player.
You don't have a record player?
No, I feel like we do somewhere. Someone gave us one.
This would be a good excuse.
Yeah.
Vinyl's back, baby.
I know. That's
thanks
the
for
thing.
the reminder. I almost forgot because I was so wrapped up in my conversation.
Thanks, Jamieson.
Thank you.
How do you think it went?
I think it went great, except for
great.
that. I feel really bad about that.
No, it's
I'm
a
going to
good-
be thinking about that
it's a
all
good
day. I'm going to
runner.
go write. I have a writing session today, and I'm going to be thinking that fucking mojito.
Why don't you write a mojito recipe?
Ooh, yeah. I could write a song called Bad Mojito.
Bad mojito, yeah. That's cool.
I'm a
That-
bad mojito.
I'm a bad mojito.
I'm a bad
A little
mojito.
bit sour, a little bit sweet. I'm a bad mojito.
But I got plenty of aftertaste.